My building has a rule, no noise after 10. The signs are everywhere, hallways, elevator, even inside the stairwell. Last night, at 3:17 a.m., someone whispered my name through the vent and then slid a note under my door. Quiet hours, Adam. I never told anyone my name. I moved into 4A 2 weeks ago. It's clean, cheap, and everyone keeps to themselves. Perfect. There's a decibel sensor on the wall with a smiley face that turns red if you're too loud. Community first, the brochure said. I work from home. I don't throw parties. I barely speak. The first note came on night 3. Quiet hours. Printed. All caps. No signature. I laughed. I hadn't made a sound. I slid the note into a drawer. Night 5. Another note. Quiet hours, Adam. Now it knew my name. The office downstairs shrugged. System sometimes flags the wrong unit, the manager said. We'll look into it. He didn't ask my name. He already knew it. My neighbor in 4B never answers the door, but I hear soft tapping through the shared wall. 3 taps. Pause. 1 tap. Long pause. Again. Like Morse code. Or a child playing a game alone. On the 6th night, I put my ear to the vent, humming, a lullaby, the kind you hum when you're trying not to cry. When the humming stopped, a note slid under my door like a blade. She's sleeping. I took a picture. The timestamp said 3:17 a.m. Same minute, same message. I started keeping a log. Every knock, every note, every time the decibel sensor flashed red. I set my phone to record and left it by the door. In the morning, I listened back. Mostly silence. Then a voice, low and close to the mic. Adam, keep your voice down. I rewound. It was my voice. But I hadn't spoken. I slid my phone under 4B's door and left it recording for 5 minutes. When I opened my door to get it, it was sitting on my doormat. A new note on top. Stop recording. The file held footsteps, the drag of fabric, and the same lullaby I'd heard through the vent. Only this time, under the humming, a whisper. Up. The building has an app for residents. You can book laundry, report leaks, read the quiet hours policy. I found a tab I hadn't noticed. Noise activity. It showed a heat map of my unit. Red spikes at 2:02 a.m., 2:41 a.m., 3:17 a.m. Voice detected, the log said. Clips auto-labeled. Male. Soothing. Repetitive. I pressed play. A man's voice. Mine. Saying the same sentence, soft, over and over. Breathe out. Breathe out. Breathe out. I checked my camera roll. At 2:41 a.m., I had taken a photo of my ceiling. I don't remember taking it. I taped flour along the gap under my door. If someone slid a note tonight, they'd leave a mark. I pulled my couch away from the shared wall with 4B and pressed a glass to the drywall. Silence. Then 3 taps. Pause. 1 tap. I tapped back. 3. Pause. 1. The decibel sensor flashed red, then green, like it was listening too. At 3:17 exactly, the floorboard by my kitchen creaked. Not the hall. Inside. My heart hammered. I swept the room with a flashlight, everything where I left it. Then the beam landed on the front door. A note sat on top of the flower, perfectly centered. No footprints disturbed the powder. It said, "You're not the tenant." I tore the apartment apart. Behind the wardrobe, screws too new for a 40-year-old building. Behind that, a thin, painted-over door. No knob, 2 recessed hinges. I pried it open with a butter knife. A service corridor, unlit, narrow enough to scrape both shoulders. Fresh scuffs along the drywall at knee height. Small, like a child's. 20 feet down, a grate opening into 4B. I killed the flashlight and listened. Breathing. Deep and even. I pushed the grate. It gave. 4B looked staged. A nursery without fingerprints. Crib made. Dust everywhere except for the outline of a head on the pillow. A camera on the bookshelf with its lens cap off. A baby monitor with a dead battery light. On the wall above the crib, a paper star mobile. On one star, neat block letters. Mara. Under it, taped to the wall like a badge, a printout of a building policy. Quiet hours, 10 p.m., 6 a.m. Thank you for keeping our community safe. Keys at my front door. Footsteps. 2 voices. A woman. Adam, time for your meds. The manager. Don't wake her. I stood frozen in 4B, watching my apartment through the corridor grate. They were in my kitchen, setting a small cup on the counter, a bottle of water. The woman's voice again, soft but practiced. Breathe out. My head went bright white. I crawled back through the corridor and pressed my ear to my own vent. The woman was closer now. You're doing well, Adam. Quiet hours, remember? The manager's tone changed. He took the screws out, he said. He found the hatch. Paper rustled. We'll have to move her. Move who? I stepped into my living room. They both turned. The woman smiled the way you smile at a nervous dog. Do you remember me? She asked. I didn't. I looked at the decibel sensor. Green. Calm. I looked at the flower by the door. Smooth and unbroken. I looked at the clock. 3:17 a.m. The woman nodded at the wardrobe. You weren't supposed to go through yet. I said the only true thing I had. What is 4B? The manager's face emptied. Adam, he said. 4B is where Mara sleeps. The name hit like a stare I'd forgotten was there. Mara. The star on the wall. The lullaby through the vent. I tasted metal. Who's Mara? It came out smaller than I wanted. The woman didn't answer. She walked to the wall and tapped the smiley decibel sensor with her fingernail. We log every sound, she said. Every night at 3:17, you stand here and you say, breathe out. I don't remember, I said. That's why we write it down. She slid a folder across the counter. My handwriting. The same sentence, page after page. Breathe out. Breathe out. Breathe out. The manager opened the door and looked into the hall, left, right, as if expecting an ambush. We'll have to end quiet hours, he said. The woman nodded. It's time he tells the truth. The folder held reports, dates, times, transcripts. Subject 4. A exhibits anticipatory anxiety from 2 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. At 3:17, subject repeats grounding phrase taught in session. Responses to prompts about June 12th remain avoidant. A photo paperclip to the last page. My car. A crosswalk. A small shoe in the gutter. The date was June 12th. No, I said. This isn't... The woman slid another page forward, a printout from a courthouse website. Plie agreement, redacted. Next line, placement in controlled residential program. This is a hospital? I asked. No, she said. It's quieter. The room tilted. I didn't run, I said. No, she agreed. You drove. Silence swelled until I thought my ribs would crack. Where is she? The woman glanced at the door behind the wardrobe. Asleep. Then, softer. For once. I dropped into the chair. The folder slid and fanned across the table. My signature, my initials, my excuses. I thought someone was watching me, I said. They are, the manager said. We are. Her mother is. The words hung in the air like fog. The woman set the water in front of me. Quiet hours are for her, she said. Your nightmares wake her up. My mouth felt like paper. She didn't let me finish. You didn't look. I told myself the road was empty. I told myself the light was yellow. I told myself the bump was a pothole. The shout was a radio. The mirror was broken. The voice was someone else's. I told the officer I was home at 10. I told the court I couldn't remember the hour between 2 and 3. I told myself Mara was a bad dream. But I always woke at 3:17. And I always said the same words. Breathe out. Are you... I started. The woman nodded. I'm Mara's mother. She took a long breath. We asked to be near the program. They said proximity can help. We sleep when you sleep. The manager's phone buzzed. He silenced it without looking. He found the hatch, he repeated, as if it changed the rules. The woman gathered the papers into a stack. "Tonight you asked the right question," she said. "What is 4B? She placed her hand on the wardrobe door. "It's the room where you stop pretending." "I can't fix anything," I said. "No," she said. "But you can stop making us hold your silence." The hall smelled like dust and lemon cleaner, and the iron tang of panic. I nodded. "Okay." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for months. "Then talk." So I talked. I told them about the bar and the second drink I shouldn't have had. I told them how I stared at the traffic light like it owed me something. I told them my phone was face up on the passenger seat, lit, buzzing a name that wasn't my wife's. I told them the sound the car made when it met the world wrong. I told them about the shoe. Every word was a weight, shifting from the center of my chest to the table between us. Some of them didn't move far. Some stayed stuck. When I ran out, the woman didn't say thank you or I forgive you or rot. She just closed the folder and said, "Quiet hours are over." The manager nodded like a ceremony had been completed. He checked the corridor, then the hall, then the tiny, smiley decibel sensor. Green. Then off. They left me with the folder, the water, the silence I had earned. At 5:59 a.m., the building's morning chime echoed through the hallway. 6 o'clock. Technically legal to make noise again. I stood in the doorway between 4A and the service corridor and looked at the grate into 4B. The nursery was dim and still. The star with Mara on it didn't move. For the first time since I moved in, I didn't hear the lullaby. I wrote a note. Not printed, not typed. I slid it under 4B's door and stood there until the hallway light timed out and I was a shape in the dark. The note said, "I'll be quiet now." As I turned back, the decibel sensor flickered once, like a blink, and died.